Hey guys, Crystal here, and we are going to be jumping into a new game for the channel. Same world though. Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. I'm excited. I only found out about this game a few days ago, actually. Just like, pretty much on brand now. I'm late to getting two games, but that's okay. Because it's Vampire, and we've got some time to kill while we wait for Bloodlines 2. We're going to be doing this a little differently than most of the games I've been doing on this channel. And that is, this will be the only time you see me. Because since this is a visual novel style game, I want to appreciate the art and I want you guys to appreciate the art. So we're taking the camera down. You're just going to have me talking, reading. You know, we're still going to have a good time. And it's going to be great. This is actually my very first visual novel. Game novel games. This is the very first one I've ever done. Well, unless you count Doki Doki Literature Club. I did that too. Anyway, we're going to get started. Real talk though, this is actually a re-recording of the first episode that I actually did a couple of days ago, or yesterday. Time flies when you're having fun. Because when I went to go edit, there was some audio discrepancies. Things just didn't quite work the way I did. I did have the camera going. So I'm going to re-record it. Hopefully it sounds good. Hopefully I am enunciating and talking loud, as I wasn't before. I was pretty much muttering the entire time. It was awkward. So, yeah. There'll be a couple achievements that should pop up that won't pop up because I've already achieved them. But this is only the first night. So I'm not re-recording too much. This is still going to be 99% blind. I think I've over-explained the situation, so I think we're just going to get started. As you can see, I've got the two. Amanda was the one I broke. Eric was the one I used to make sure that OBS was running it. Only the fact it wasn't running it the way I wanted it to. So that was pointless. I might also do one of each character. We'll see how long the game is. If it is a lengthy game, but you're enjoying it, I will do the other characters as well, just to see the full scope of the story. If it's a short game, and you're not enjoying it well, we'll stick with one character. And if it's a short game and you are enjoying it, well, you get the idea. Let's just get started. So I'm picking new game. And I am going to overwrite Amanda with this one. See you on the other side. Alright, so we are choosing one of three clans. We've got the Bourgeois, the Rebel against the Rebel. Oh my god. Guys, I can't read. This is going to be a long one. They are the rebels. They are fighty. They are ragey. They are the punks. Alright. The Ventrue, which is actually who we started in the last one, so we're actually going to be probably picking the Ventrue. The aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, society, and control. Money's great. Mind manipulation is key. You know, you will not remember this later. And they're just all around the money. And then you've got the Toreador. They're good looking, they're artists, they're very intense in a romantic and sexual way. I should mention this is probably going to be as mature as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines series is, because, I mean, come on, vampires. You can't have PG vampires. Sorry, Twilight. Anyway, so we're going to pick the Venture, because I want to do the exact same story that I have been doing. And just to make things different, instead of calling her Amanda, we will call her... I know. Let's call her Alyson. Alyson seems like a very Ventrue sort of name, I think. Alright, let's do this. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate when I was human, I would have told you that it's just superstitious bullshit. that we are all designers of our own destiny. That belief is shattered when the richest woman in the world, or, well, not the world, but the United States, the actual richest one, not the face you've seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place that you are standing, right now, by the way. Fate, you decide. ... Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, a spark in my eye. The one that you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that just won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that it would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator, and probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you have to... Bleh. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for what they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was about fate. The message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom. It was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, her amusing little subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm standing here. Standing right where she stood when we first met. ... I'm wondering if this is me, because it's not whoever this person is talking to. It's given them a chance to respond, but the actions are what they're saying is the same. I don't know if we're talking to a mysterious benefactor or I'm not sure. You might have wondered how I learned about your arrival to the JFK airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, As luck would have it, today happened to be a day of some of my associates were inspecting coffins. Luck. Driving you straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place is a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're now eager to inform me you're here? I understand. You still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight. So I will provide you comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay a favor that you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy asking you to breach the rules of our society like this, and you might think it's impossible to get away without being punished, or with it being unpunished. I gotta stop ad-libbing. But this is New York. And I don't know about other cities, but this one, fate, really exists. And right now, it is smiling in your favor. Bow, bow, bow! This is how it begins. So he's either talking to my sire or us later in the game. I don't know. Your phone rings. It's your boss again. The setting sun that filled your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spread for miles to the north. You pick up. You're about to call it a day and forget the world of fintech and decompress at home. No dice. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice sounds a perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll be coming by your office in an hour. You look at your clock. An hour? He's gotta be kidding. Yes, I know, but stick around. He's a heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine. You grit your teeth a little and your boss hangs up. 2 hours. Great. Might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how best to use this to your advantage. You suspect that everyone knows that, no, you are not actually happy with your current position, that, in fact, you feel squished against the glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot superior might have gotten the job only because he's the CEO's golfing buddy, but you're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times were you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, the nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with pizza or Chinese takeout. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have only gotten longer. Food? Mostly cafeteria. Sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day where it finally decides to give up. Rest? At this point, the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his extremely attractive and uncomfortably young-looking secretary. For some must watch while others must sleep. So runs the world away. Drinks? Mostly with colleagues, and they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback. This time to the most profitable quarter in your company's history. Still, the board decided layoffs were in order. And your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person, so he gave... Your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person. So, he gave that privilege to you. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. But maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night it's all going to change. Yeah, if only you knew, Alyson, if only you knew. You decide to play the good looks angle. Nothing too slutty. Leave your blouse slightly unbuttoned. Check your ass, make sure it still looks as good as you remember in that pencil skirt. The mirror says yes. It's not something you're proud of, but you've become too jaded to care. Knowing your luck, this investor is going to be one of two types. A self-obsessed must-wannabe in his 20s, or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. You hear the elevator ding. Time to get the show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror, fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. The man who approaches your office is not what you expected. He's slick to be sure, but he seems a bit more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie and shirt, confidence in his stride. Surprisingly good looking. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. Oh, God, that voice. You're taken back to how smooth and strong it is. His eyes, steel blue, cold, intense. He's all business, professional, treats you in a manner appropriate of your stature. And when he speaks, he looks you in the eye, and not at your cleavage. He asks some questions about your work, tells you how he noticed your input after talking to the CEO. Another golfing buddy? And comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus. Keep wanting to say incomplete doofus, but you know. All the while, you're trying to guess his accent. You can't quite place it. European? Sure. Where from? I will try to do different voices for these characters, but who knows how many there are, so we'll see what happens. I know I've been keeping you long enough, but would you indulge me and join me in a drink? Of course. For a minute there, it seemed like he wasn't that kind of guy. But what the hell? You go with it. He seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have any other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to a high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in the deluxe lounge. It's just the two of you. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So, tell me, what would you do if you had full control over your company? You almost choke on your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months, but hide it behind a veneer of professional corporal babble. Refocusing, listening to your instincts for once. Restructuring, kicking out your boss, and aggressively pursuing new markets. Getting the hell away from all of these horrible people. He likes the sound of that. He leans forward, his eyes flash with intensity, and something else. A strange emotion that wasn't there before. Something there that wasn't there before. Couldn't resist. Oh God. You do just fine. His words echo in your head as you black out. You wake up. God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice. The investor? Or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets. Fragmented memories. His sapphire eyes intently locked with yours. His teeth suddenly longer and sharper. And something else. The feeling on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm. A company trip to Florida. A sweaty room. That cutie in HR who doesn't actually work there anymore. And then darkness. Yes, I am done here. Consider my debt paid. So is this our mysterious guy from the beginning? The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks behind him. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. Blood? Did that asshole hit you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is heavy. It's like a heavy knot, pulling you down. You didn't have that much to drink. He must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. That doesn't make sense. All of a sudden, the feeling hits you like anything you've ever felt before. You fall onto the floor, writhing in all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn. The kind that can't be denied. You try to calm yourself down with those breathing exercises they taught you from some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. And holy shit, your heart should be jumping out of your chest with that realization, but it's not even moving. Not a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startled voice. A young man in a waiter's outfit, his accent thick with European harshness. He leans over and asks if you're all right. For a brief moment, you wonder what the hell he's doing here. Everything is wrong. Then his smell reaches your nostrils. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it firmly with both hands and bite down. You sink your teeth right next to this old pin-up tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing. Part of you wants to break away, but a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing has become clear. You're definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now, pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let him go when he collapses onto the floor. Your bite leaves a mess of his forearm. Poor Rita, all bloodied, missing half her face. Wait, did you drink this guy's blood? Spit out a piece of torn flesh. That's a... Why? Where? What was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus, your heart and your lungs still motionless, you reach for your phone and dial 911.
911 operator, what's your emergency?
I can't breathe.
Ma'am, where are you right now?
The door to the lounge swings open, and the man who enters is not the one who brought you here, though there are similarities. He's tall, for one, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit. His skin is darker, and the look on his face tells you he is not here to negotiate a deal. He notices the smartphone in your hand. Pass me the phone if you want to live. The man's voice is persuasive, but calm, but carrying a threat. He's got that aura of a viciously efficient corporate shark. You find it hard to argue with him.
Ma'am, hello?
I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got a little drunk and now isn't trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night. Click. He disconnects the call and places your phone in his pocket. For whatever reason, you barely take your eyes off the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, though, it's also highly discomforting. Good evening, miss. I am here to pick you up. He is a tall glass of water right there. Who are you? I'm your guide through this perilous night. The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body. Critical condition. He might live. Anyway, then he sets his sights on you. I know this is all new to you, but I have dealt with hundreds of strays like you. And going by experience, they'll tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones, who carefully obey my every word, and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission. And the troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. So, you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I am also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. One that inspired me to come up with a 3 strikes system for dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves more than once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times, and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy, no substitutions, exchanges, or refunds. He's talking, as he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize this is a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now. Every atom of your being is screaming to obey his authority. Is he a Ventrue? Or is he a Toreador? Because Toreadors are like manipulative in like that sexy sort of way. Ventrue are just dominating. So I'm definitely very curious on what clan he belongs to. Well, okay, so went for drinks with a guy we didn't know. Ended up in a fancy restaurant. There is a dead body in front of us. We just drank blood. It is a very, very confusing situation. But at the same time, this guy is being very persuasive. And we want to survive this night. So, I think Alyson is going to play along. I understand, sir. Stick to that tone, and you will do just fine. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd want to inform your current situation? To tell them you're okay? He flashes his fangs briefly. For some reason, the sight sounds chills down your spine. There is something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you? This is a trap. So, we are a business type, office, long hours. We used to have someone at home, but we're pretty much implying that didn't end well. So, no, I don't have anyone. The stranger squints at you. No family, no lover, no friends, nothing? A job. Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look of pity. A look of honest compassion.
Aw, he's a big softy.
Well, that makes things simpler. But let me be crystal clear, just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under. And you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you are still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. And if anyone comes looking for you, it is over for both you and them. It's that practiced tone again. You put your hocus pocus face on. You put your poker face on and listen in silence. So, unless you want your boss to end up in the bottom of the Hudson, I suggest you cooperate. We should call our boss. We should totally call our boss. That way he can end up in the bottom of the Hudson. It's great. Don't tempt me. His smile reveals his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly, you feel overwhelmed with a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in the stranger's arms. The man is holding you as you would a spouse who's had a little too much to drink. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you cease your struggling does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change of scenery. You find yourself in the fancy lobby, right next to the elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass. He picks up the phone. The elevator arrives, the door opens, the man motions toward the cabin. After you. Where are we going? To a safe place. That is all you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make this difficult. Just get in. Step inside the elevator. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz playing over the speakers as the elevator starts to descend. You're dazed and panicky, but somehow locked in place. On one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. And on the other, you feel your body tensing up with stress. You can't help but think back to the young waiter, the doe-eyed look on his face, the confused look he gave you just before... No, better not think of that. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact that you're kind of being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived with the investor some hours ago. The man shows you a black Cadillac Escalade. I know what you're thinking. Getting into the car with some strange man, boy, sure seems like a dumb idea. Maybe I can make a run for it. Maybe I can lose him. So let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride. What do you want? What do you want from me? To meet your new superiors. You'll see. Superiors? Is this what a hostile takeover looks like nowadays? No more questions. Get in the car, please. We're following along. Bad ideas are bad, but get in the car. This seems like literally the worst idea ever, but the man's made it very clear. You have no choice in the matter. What's your name? Can I at least know your name? You'll know it when the time is right. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Listen, really need to quit stalling. We're a bit behind. We're on a bit of a schedule. The sun comes up in 2 hours, and I don't intend to be here when it does. Look, I just want to know what this is about. Then wait until tomorrow. Basically, shut up, do as I say, get in the car. He opens the car door and gestures toward it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat and starts the engine and drives away without another word. And he's staring at me. Eyes on the road, bud. How am I alive? My heart, it's not beating. Aren't you in big business? What do you need a heart for anyway? Jerk. Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow, you will get some answers. But tonight, I need you to do what I say. And right now, I need some quiet, please. You feel too confused to protest. You stay silent for the rest of the ride, even as more questions bubble up to the surface. One of them being, Did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus quickly and lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan. Another underground parking lot, almost featureless. Empty. The car stops, and the man opens the door for you. We're here. The stranger walks to the nearby door and opens it, motions you to get inside. Go in, make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers. Behind the door is a small room. No windows, just a simple bed, single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. Wait, that's it? You're just gonna leave me here? That is it. For now, at least. Look, this room is your best chance at seeing another night. I realize you're being put in a problematic situation. It's not entirely your fault. Cooperate, and you might still make it. You'll learn more tomorrow. For the time being, get in, get cozy. He gestures inside the room. Walk inside. You step inside, the stranger nods. Good night. He locks the door behind you. It looks very sturdy. You open the fridge, and a single plastic bag is there, filled with a red liquid, no label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best leave it for now. You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too filthy. You think back to how this evening began. This investor is he friends with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing out various scenarios in your head. Eventually, you decide to give up and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you rather face it well rested. Plus, there is no way in hell your boss isn't going to notice your absence tomorrow. And maybe some restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Someone will notify the police. Someone will find you. Right? A flashback to the waiter's tattoo. Bloody Rita Hayworth, winking at you over the pale mess of the wound. You did this. You bit him. You drank his blood. And it tasted good. And what if you can no longer go home again? Or never go home again? You're so tired. Your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you're drifting away into oblivion. You wake up. Okay. At least that in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't quite feel like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. In the room is unchanged. The lamp is on, the AC is still rattling, the fridge is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone. There's no thumping in your chest. Does this qualify as dead if you're still unconscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not the rumbling in your stomach, though. It's a need that starts off somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, your throat, and the back of your head. You open the fridge, and the bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff, and you recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it almost nauseating. But now it's almost... No, not almost. It's enticing. Well, we are a Ventrue. We are picky. I know we can't drink homeless people, but bagged blood is still okay, right? Let's do that. It feels wrong. But right now, there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the blood into your mouth. It tastes like shit. Gee, like blood? Blood is not exactly a very, tasty thing. It's coppery, it's thick, and it clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. It tastes foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. You take a second sip. Sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pull at your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit. But before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hand and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing comes out. No more blood, no bile, not even spit. But still, there's something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out, every last drop. As you recover, trying to wipe the droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click. You see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again. That predatory look, like a hawk on the hunt. But somehow he's more relaxed tonight. Like a tamed hawk, maybe. Good evening. How was... He notices the splatter on your hand. The sick look in your face barely contains a smirk. Oh, was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies. You know what? What do you think? You can't tell me you can drink this. He takes the bag off your hands and pours all of its contents into its mouth, closes his eyes, theatrically savoring the taste. When he opens them a few seconds later, he looks sharper, energized. Not all of us are picky eaters. Come on. We've got places to be, and I've got some water and a towel in the back of the car. You can clean yourself up. He was expecting this. Jerk. The car is humming in the empty parking lot, just outside the door of the cramped room you spent all your day in. The man motions to it politely, and then with a stern look on his face. I want to hijack the car, but we're just going to keep going. Let's get inside. It's not like I have a choice, right? Correct. But your cooperation is appreciated nonetheless. You take the back seat again, and the door locks. The stranger takes the wheel, starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch a glimpse of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows. But it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so you can hear a bit of the traffic humming and car engines. The driver doesn't say anything and seems to be focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yep, door is locked all right. A piece of dark glass separating you from the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about this before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. The need starts somewhere from your abdomen, spreads to your chest, your throat, and the back of your head. You become restless. This is essentially kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that you're being held against your will, and you are not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else. You You feel the need to get some semblance of control over the situation. You decide to prove yourself useful. What shall we do? Listen, I know how to reach people, celebrities, various industry leaders, politicians, backed by rich lobbies. I doubt these will help you where we're going. You're playing in a whole different ballpark now, dear. Short pause. I'll be frank. Currently, you are in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better. Ridicule his lack of ambition. Why not? Big words coming from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever actually achieved anything. You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rearview window. For a second, you spot a crack in that professional demeanor. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed. For a few seconds, he quietly fumes. Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that. Preferably in silence. The dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You are used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands, at the very least. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. It takes you another 20 minutes or so to get to your next destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That is certain. Queens, maybe? After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building. That houses a two-story gallery called the Archwell. Two large men in suits flank the door from both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual for this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom. A number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them beneath their guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear why they're actually gathered here for. Nobody seems particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. The glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces, and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room are calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judge not for her merits, but by her standing on the list that is passed in a clandestine email threads between your male coworkers. Until HR found out, that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught you some resilience. When others would cower, you now straightened up. When others would turn their gaze, you met the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. Good evening, Kadir. And to you, child? A noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers. You're being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helena Panhard, child of Micalia. I hope I'm saying these names right. If not, I apologize profusely. Thank you, my sheriff. but I am capable of introducing myself. She is somewhat plain-looking, doesn't seem to possess any great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intensely focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into life was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate that I must punish both of you for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to our loyal sheriff, what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Am I gonna stay quiet? I'm just gonna shut up. You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. You feel like you're out of your depth here. Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found the fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some sort of secret society make-believe? A trusted informant, who has chosen to remain anonymous, at this time has tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but the fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in a private lounge at the partition suggests this one's sire has plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way here to the Safehouse. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the Safehouse tonight, I was greeted by the most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently, the bagged supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking. A remark elicits contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests, as they note the remains of blood on your skirt. Not the most elegant sight, but hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. What a jerk. You just mentioned... You only reason you mentioned that was to get the audience's reaction. You evil, brooding comedian. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she didn't struggle. A pleasure departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, postured as if we were equals, insulting me when that didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego is a bit bruised. He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take special interest in one of the faces. A beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair, with a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Kadir. I will take note of the fledgling's behavior, and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is a matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up last night. Who were they? An entrepreneur acquaintance of my boss, I think? Good looking, pale blue eyes, some gray in his hair, charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. You feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. There's no reason you need to take this all in stride, but you do. Because there's one thing your professional career has taught you. It's that. All because of that asshole, whoever he was. He never even gave you his name or card or nothing.
Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar?
No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue my search after we are done here. Well, that's as much as you're getting out of me. What now? Now, it's time to decide your fate, Fledgling. What shall we do with the Fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, Sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst without the permission of thine elder's leave, both of thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
Stay your hand just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel in this. Make sure everyone is in agreement.
Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the showroom with a handful of people following her out. You're about to ask Kadir what all this talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie.
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with our fledgling.
What for? She lowers her voice in response.
Come now, Kadir. We all know the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all.
Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room. The way you came, and you are left the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, Fledgling, you're in quite a pickle. What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crimes are here.
Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire.
Wait, what? Oh, yes. Well, I am aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why you are here, why we have these nice words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings are called vampires. Look at them. They're us. There are going to be a lot of terminologies that are I can go over these for people who are new to the Vampire Masquerade. I'll probably go over them at the beginning or the end of the episode. Actually, you know what? Since let's pop in here for real quick. So, okay. There were words back there before. I guess now that I'm doing this again, they're not. Fledgling is newborn vampire. Kindred is a vampire. Prince is the ruling, governing body, the head honcho. I mean, these words are pretty straightforward. You glance around the room. Some of the guests are occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most of them hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. It's not the right thickness. Not the right color, either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you draw a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There is no denying that. And your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened together since yesterday. I mixed that. Oops.
One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming up with the conclusion that no matter how insane it may seem, nothing but what she says makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark of it all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as the day follows the night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing, and if you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior, which there weren't any, won't influence her judgment. The society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. And if they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I refuse? I believe I know what the prince will ordain, and I am certain Kadir will do his duty. You, my poor fledgling, will die. For good this time. With me, you have a chance. There's a chance you will not. I can be your guide in this new reality. Hushed voices can be heard from the side rooms. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking toward you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared, and I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, ornate-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating, first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable. Is it because I killed the guy? And does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware of the nights that we need to close our ranks. Nights like these, we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff has pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Although I acknowledge my council's divergent opinion on this, she takes a look specifically at one of the people to the left of the room who left the room before. A somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in indifference. I hold final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir. You hear that scraping sound. The sheriff unsheaths his curved sword. Its beautiful, detailed blade, of which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. His eyes meet yours. You note that just a hint of sadness in his countenance. one that quickly vanishes and is given away to grim determination. He's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy. Make your choice. You make your choice. Spare me, please. I don't make me beg, goddammit. My prince. If I may ask you to spare your sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, waiting a response. The sword is hanging above you, threatening to fall at any moment. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. Voices are bleeding together. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood of the room. The bored elitists suddenly look at you with aroused interest. Some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued at this unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of this distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. I understand you, and I understand you are volunteering for this unruly child to be under your protection. Yes, I am. I am willing to give them a chance to prove that to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less but their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again. It is an incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some surpassed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I will ask you all to make a note of this moment. I may be persuaded to bend our traditions in this childish favor, but another will have to be enforced, even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain you are that responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I will guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in the time of need. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Yeah. I'm worth keeping alive, Prince. Give me a chance to prove myself? That remains to be seen, though I do take notice of your tenacity. See that it does not become a burden. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of Clan of the Rose will become of this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and childer. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them. I grant her the right of destruction, as she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, my prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, childer? Alyson, my prince. She nods. Welcome To the Camarilla, Alyson. Now, okay, now the words are being added. Now, this evening has proved to be one of the most eventful than even more eventful than I anticipated. Wow. But this fledgling's fate is decided. I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing in such short notice. I give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before you return to your duties? Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Alyson, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand to one of the well-dressed concierges, who has now appeared in the showroom refilling the guest glasses. A conveniently handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. The memory of you throwing up at the Safehouse still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there is no denying you want it. You need it. I remember what Kadir said about your misadventure before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try to take a sip, s'il vous plaît. He pours it into 2 glasses, and you can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though it tastes as foul as before, you are tempted to down the whole glass in one go. You wait before taking the second taste, and you're glad you did. You feel like the heartburn signals and that you can't keep it down. You spit it back into the glass. Sophie looks at you, intrigued. I am not surprised. The New York City caterers have a very bourgeois idea of what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying. At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other different variants of blood. The first 2 are horrible and indigestible as before, and both ending up back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the third try, you are almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration. But finally, this one is different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of tastes. You feel blissfully at ease. Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is. Jacob, would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip and another. You empty the glass. A dull feeling in your stomach and your head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip. You have curiously specific taste, Alyson. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or is it the bitter aftertaste of melancholy? You taste nothing of that kind. But it doesn't matter. It's tasty. But not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger. Somewhat, though. Oh, and the Camarilla is the body government, basically. Like in Vampire the Masquerade, you have the Camarilla and the Anarchs. I'm an Anarch girl at heart. Hopefully we can find the Anarchs. I'm always going to be an Anarch. And the hunger is obviously vampires need blood. They get hungry. They bite people. It's a thing. Oh. Drinking the blood puts you at ease. It's a strange realization. The man Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it to you. It's somebody's medical details. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old. Blood type, ABRH positive. Blue eyes, brown hair, no history of substance abuse. New Jersey native. Might one of these details what makes it different? Now that we have picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful to identify your exact taste. Should they be ORH positive or Josie boy? Joyzy boy. Joyzy boys? I understand the Jersey Shore thing. I think but I can't wrap my tongue around the accent. But I do believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those relating to sustenance. Where do you get blood? I think it's kind of weird that you have waiters serving blood. Where do you get it from? That can be a touchy subject. Let's just say most of our blood is available at events like this is crowdfunded. Did I get that right? It's hard to keep track of modern language. At any rate, what I mean is there are a plethora of vessels, donors, stuff like that, on tap. As for where to get blood, when you're not at Elysium, tomorrow I shall take you hunting, and we will explore this topic further. What do they actually have to say about vessels? So this is your dictionary. The words like Camarilla. See, this is the major sect of vampires who try to keep the Masquerade. Fledgling is a newly created vampire, just like I was saying before. The hunger, urge to feed. You know, when you're craving that juicy burger or that bowl of cookies and cream ice cream, it's kind of the same thing, just more. The vessel. Yeah, source of blood for sustenance or pleasure, primarily mortal. We all know that in vampire history, at least our vampire media history, there are some vampires that drink off animals, off humans, off their other kind, in some cases. Then this is no different. What you need to know right now is that no matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly, down to the last drop. But even that, it doesn't last. Best to start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood is more satisfying than most anything that can be served in a fancy glass. But it can make you more ferocious. How much should you have? That depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink. But it's risky, and it will tempt the beast. That is part of our curse. Now, as they write it, the beast is the thing that drives and urges that threaten the vampire into a mindless, raving monster. Inchoate? I actually don't know that word. What do you mean by hunting? You said hunting, as in rifles, hounds, funny hats, hunting? Nothing of the sort. Don't be silly. We are predators. But we are civilized, and more importantly, there is the Masquerade to consider. I will get back to that. A hunt may take many forms. There are those of us who seduce the kine, up to and including the motions of intercourse, if you feel like it, and others prefer to feed under the guise of a mugging or an assault. Some have heard of retainers for the purpose of feeding. Drinking from sleepers in their homes is not common, Blood banks are open to the few who can tolerate it, though they are often frowned upon. You will need to identify your opportunities and decide for yourself whether to pursue them. But make no mistake, you will hunt. You will have to hunt to survive. The concierge returns and asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives a polite smile and leans into Sophie gives a polite smile. He leans in to whisper into her ear. You note the gallery is almost empty. I am being told that the gallery is about to close, but we can still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. She smiles and puts on... The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You are under her spell momentarily. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce. Yeah, a jalopy. And invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customers. You heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. You might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing. Our comings, our goings, doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow the myths in modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so the vast majority of the kind, humans, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Vampire Diaries, Twilight, Buffy, Forever Night, Moonlight. You get the idea. Say, is that one television show about the vampire angel still popular? Now, see, I'm curious if they're referencing the vampire angel or just, making some sort of random blasé commentary on their own world. You shake your head in confusion. She urges you, she shrugs and continues talking. Pardon me. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. Allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to rational minds of the 20th century humanity and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. Wait, what about my career again, then? So what you're saying, who I've become must remain a secret. What about my job, my career? It's over? Just like that? Not necessarily, but you will need to step lightly. It goes without saying that you will need an explanation for your disappearance. And it will take a few more nights before I can let you go it alone. You might be one of the kindred now, but it comes with some caveats. For one, sunlight burns us, which is why we rest during the day. You felt it, more like being dead than dormant. Is it? Isn't it? For some folks, related threats are just legends. Folk-related threats are just legends. Or occasionally minor nuisances. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't really repel us. Unless the wielder is uniquely and pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to be avoided. They don't destroy us, but they do paralyze, which, under the right circumstances, can often be the same thing. That's the reason that I have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory. making sure you're safe when you drift away. We all may have enemies, but they often know their advantage lies in the daylight. So it's good to keep human friends. Alright, I'm thinking of having a human friend or two that's necessary, right? Useful? In moderation. And it's best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends, I haven't had one of those in many years. Our little sects supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience, to be broken at a whim, yes, well, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does not occur in the Camarilla, but we are very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty to our sire, to your prince, and to your sect. Sect is a group, prince is the prince, and sire's the guy who bit you. She's staring at us too. Friends must remain a distant priority at the best for us, to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority, with it comes influence and power. If you wish to reach them, not even gonna try that again. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It feels absurdly unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one that kept you returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You are in the city, a well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? My own apartment? I get my own apartment? Neat. Consider it my first of many gifts I'm able to grant in exchange for your loyalty. Come upstairs. She leads you through the small hall. She leads you through the small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to the room 209. Inside there are small amenities. You could expect a modern apartment, and some wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including the thick... Oh wait, hold on. Inside are all the apartment amenities you could ever expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the night previous, including the thick blinds on the windows. The black room is comfortable looking. The bed is thick steel. Has a comfortable looking bed, a thick steel door, several sturdy looking locks, but no windows. Well, how do you like it? It's great. Thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss blood in more detail. I will let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set, and I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors, just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. I think she had awe on. I think she was using awe. Really do. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. It feels strange that Kadir could be more thoughtful than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns.
Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of serious trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little less than insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off. The reflecting on another night of confusing conversation and worldview shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what's happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder if you'll ever have the chance to either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift off into the cold sleep last night, you settle to the back room. The bed is comfortable, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades and takes you into the plunging into the darkness again. Sinking. All right, we are resting. All right. Oh, I can't stop. Tutorial. The hunger is... Can I? All right, cool. We're actually going to come back to the tutorial in our next episode. This is the epilogue, or the prologue, the starter, the appetizer to the main course of this new game. And we're going to pop myself back into frame here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait. I'm excited. We will see you guys in the next episode where Alyson, the new fledgling Ventrue, learns more about her life and goes hunting with a mysterious red-dressed vampire named Sophie. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. Bye! Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're looking for more videos, on your left, you're going to find something brand new, or probably something you haven't seen. And on your right, you will find something recommended to you by YouTube. And right there below, you'll see me. If you hit that button, you're going to find everything else that I've done. So push it now!